booklers, happy Chinese New Year! Hello everyone, this is Gabby and today I have a very exciting recommendations video for you because we are talking my favorite books by Asian authors. So I have chosen books by East Asian and Southeast Asian authors because I want to do a dedicated review for South Asian authors. I have 10 books and so many of those are like all-time favorites. So I decided to make this video because I just wanted to celebrate a little bit Asian authors during Chinese New Year. And I just thought it would be really fun. So here we are. So first book on my list is 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. Yes, you've seen this book a million times on this channel. Yes, it's probably the most fond I am of a book that I've read in 2021. So 6 Crimson Cranes, we follow a daughter of an emperor and she gets cursed. So do her brothers. They get turned into cranes and she cannot utter a word because if she does, they're gonna die. Sad times overall, but it's such a beautiful story. I just love the writing. I think it's gorgeous. It's written so beautifully. This beautiful pastel aesthetic is just reflected in the writing, and I think that's something that really resonated with me. But also the characters and the growth of the main character was unparalleled. It's a hard word. It was just uncontested. I love it. I think this is a beautiful story. I was supposed to be telling you where the authors were from. This is a Chinese American author, I believe. She has other books as well, all set in like Asian inspired fantasy worlds. So check this one out if you love beautiful writing, beautiful storytelling. There's dragon, like shape-shifting dragons, magic. It's wonderful, beautiful. It's just such a celebration of the culture and I love it. Next up we have She Who Became the Sun by Rebel. I do this every time. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. So this book is by an Asian American author. That's what it usually says in all of the about pages, but I did find that the author says that she's Malaysian with Chinese roots. So this book is a retelling of the rise to power of the first ever emperor of the Ming dynasty, but it's gender bent. So the main character here is the sister of the guy that was destined to be like great, has destiny of greatness, and was supposed to be the emperor, but he died out of starvation. She didn't murder him or anything, but he died out of starvation, so she decides to take his destiny. So she doesn't set out to become an emperor, but she does go as a boy to live in a monastery. There's also a sapphic romance, and I absolutely love the writing of it. It does jump around in time a lot, but I think that was just to give us an idea of who the character is and where they started versus where they're going, and I really love that, and I love the politics of it. There's multiple perspectives, so you get to hear from different characters from different sides of the conflict. I really love the conversations on gender as well, because the main character has a bit of a wobble, you know. Is she female? Is she male? She has lived her whole life as a male, but biologically she's female. It's a whole thing, but I did really love this in the series, so I'm very excited to read the next books. So next book is Iron Widow by Ziran Jai Zhao. So this book is by a Chinese author, but now they live in Canada, and this is a retelling of the life and rise to power of the first and only female emperor of China, but it's set in a futuristic sci-fi. We're fighting with aliens, and to fight with aliens we have these massive things called mechas. They're like robots and they run on people's ki, and women are thought to have weaker ki because they die on much higher scale. Main character drafts herself into the army basically, so to get revenge on one of the most famous male pilots. So I love this one. I love the author. I really like their videos. They do a lot of videos where they analyze the portrayal of Chinese culture and traditions and mythology in popular media. So I think it was the Mulan movie or something. But yeah, I really love the author, and I really love this book. It had so much interesting exploration of the culture, like the food binding is a big part of it, and you know how concubines were treated and the role of women in the society. I really love that. Also has a throuple, so a polyamorous relationship, which I really loved. Overall, I think this book has a lot to offer, and I really like the alien futuristic setting. If you watch my videos at all, you're like, literally, you talk about these books every other day, and yes, I do. What about it? So next up we have Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So this is the first book, Poppy War. This is the second book, Dragon Republic. And the third book is out, but I've not bought it yet, and I've not read the second book either. This one, we follow Rin. She became an orphan because of the war, and her adopted parents are quite cruel to her, and she knows that her only way out is either to pass this very hard military exam and join the military, or marry rich. So she decides to pass the military exam. This is bloody. This was inspired by the rape of Nanking, I believe, which was a massacre a long time ago that happened in China. It's brutal. It's really graphic, and I would recommend this book because it's amazing, but I would say just be careful that you don't read something that can be triggering for you. So definitely trigger for rape, but like murder, torture, all kinds of things. So the author is Chinese American. But yeah, I really love this one. I really need to continue actually. And then we have Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. So this book is a standalone but set in the world that the author created, but it's inspired by Japanese mythology and culture, although the author is Chinese American. We follow Misaki, who is a mother, but she used to be a warrior, and her whole family and her sons and husband, and it's a story of perseverance, honor, family, duty, all kinds of things. I cried like a baby. It is a pretty thick one, but it just goes by so quickly. Especially love the writing of the fight scenes. I thought that was done absolutely brilliantly, even though that's not something I usually gravitate towards. It was done impeccably here, and I love to talk about, you know, honor and all of that. So that was really well done. I really enjoyed this, and this is self-published as well, which is super cool. So I would highly recommend this book. I keep talking about these, but that's the last physical book I actually have, so you know, maybe something will surprise you now. So the next book is Our Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, who is a Chinese author. I think she lives in New Zealand. So this book is a 1920 Shanghai retelling of Romeo and Juliet. So we follow Juliet, who is the daughter of the head of the gang called Scarlet, and then we have Roma, who's the son of the head of the leader of the gang called White Roses? White something. These two gangs have always fought with each other, but Roma and Juliet find love, or do they? Question mark. So this is a duology. I absolutely loved the second book. I think the first book was good, and like I really enjoyed it, but the way the second book just like took me by surprise with how addicting and amazingly written it was, and it was heartbreaking but kind of hopeful, but kind of just mostly heartbreaking. It was wonderful. I love the author, really like her. I follow her on TikTok, and I think she's hilarious, on top of being beautiful. Every time I mention her, I must say how beautiful she is. Her TikTok is great, and she is now coming out with a companion series to this one called Fowler Lady Fortune, and that one's gonna be a duology as well. It's gonna be fake marriage, spies, and it's gonna be about a side character from this book. So it's very exciting. We're all very excited. Next book is The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nhi Vo. So Nhi Vo is Vietnamese American, and this book is a very short novella. I think maybe about 100 pages or so, but it's a trilogy, but 2 books are out now. So in this book, we follow a cleric who goes around this wonderful world and kind of tries to gather stories from different people. And in this one, they're gathering a story of an empress that lived a long time ago, and it's beautiful. Heartbreaking, it's kind of sapphic, and I absolutely loved it. It was so good, well written, and you're just like there pondering everything and just like thinking like, oh my god, what even is life? Yeah, and it's just the second book, Tiger Came Down the Mountain, was really good as well. I really enjoyed that one. That one's more about how stories get told and how we remember history, and how history is written by the winners basically, or history is written by whoever is writing it, and their biases are also included. And the third one's coming out sometime this year, I think. So I'm very, very excited, but this is so well written. I am also very excited by Siren Queen from Niveau, which is going to be, I think, a historical fiction. And I know that she has a book called Something Beautiful, and it's a retelling of Great Gatsby. So many books to read from her. Next up, we have a graphic novel. So this one's called The Best We Could Do by T. Bui. So this author is Vietnamese, and this is a graphic novel, kind of her recounting the story of her grandparents, I think, escaping Vietnam War. And it was absolutely harrowing and heartbreaking, but also so hopeful and beautiful. And the illustrations were just gorgeous. So I know the author also has other illustrated books, so if you're interested, check it out. This is the only one I read, but it was so beautifully done, and I learned so much about like Vietnam refugees and the Vietnamese War. It was heartbreaking, it was beautiful, and I loved it. Next up is a book that I loved, but I've not spoken about for ages. So this one is Patron Saint of Nothing by Randy Ribe. So the author is Filipino-American. This is a contemporary, and we follow a boy who is a Filipino-American as well. And his cousin gets in some kind of trouble, so he travels to Philippines to help out and see what happens. So I think the cousin disappears or something. Oh no, gets found dead, I think. And this is an amazing story just about like finding your culture that you've been disconnected from and discovering the country of your parents. But it's also very heartbreaking and really, really sad, but also gives you a very good a pretty good understanding of Philippines right now and the political situation there and how it all works and the problem they have with drug wars and stuff. So I found it really educational, heartbreaking, and beautiful at the same time. So I would really, really recommend this book. I have a physical copy somewhere in my attic, of course, but it's a gorgeous cover, and I kind of bought it for the cover because I thought it looked so cool, but then I kind of fell in love with it, and I kind of forgot, and I don't talk about it much, but I really, really loved it and would highly recommend it. And lastly, we have A Hero Born by Jin Yong. So this one is by a Chinese author, and it was actually the only translated book on this list. So this one was originally written in Chinese and has been since translated into English, and this is considered like Chinese Lord of the Rings with its importance on the Chinese culture and Chinese fantasy. So in this, it's a kind of a hard story to describe because it spans many, many, many years. We basically follow a young warrior who is just like so much fortune and destiny on his shoulders, and kind of how that shapes his life and how he must avenge his father. I don't know how to describe it. It's very like the plot doesn't come in until you're quite into it, but it's so well done, and I really, really loved it. It was definitely took its time. It's a very slow story, but it was really cool, and it's like wuxia fantasy, which is a military arts martial arts fantasy. Oh, that aspect was super well done, so yeah. Thank you so much. These are all of the books that I wanted to talk about by my favorite books by Asian authors. Let me know yours. Happy Chinese New Year if you're celebrating. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you get to spend it with your family and it's a good time overall. Let me know your favorite authors. I'm always on the lookout for many, many new favorites because clearly I love these books. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I really, really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!